Hello, students, and welcome to our lesson today. Today we will multiply fractions with like and unlike denominators. So by now, by the time you see this video, we will have done our Calm Classroom. Right now you're working on the lesson on multiplying fractions. Make sure you keep your binder updated and return all materials before you leave the room. So let's be reminded, we will be a success when we have done our centering meditation, when we have completed our work page on understanding how to multiply fractions, and when our binder is complete and put away. So at this point, I know everybody is ready for instruction, and let's get started. Again, let's always be reminded of what it is we're going to do. We're going to get our page done. We're going to understand what we're doing, be ready for our quiz tomorrow, and update those binders. So, multiplying fractions. When we multiply fractions, you want to do four things. You want to write all mixed numbers as improper fractions, and we've been working on that. You want to simplify up and down along the diagonals if possible. I call it cross simplification. You also want to multiply the numerators then to get the new numerator, and then multiply the denominators to get the new denominator, and then your answer may need to be simplified. So when we look at number one, we have 2 times negative 7/9. Let's review those integer rules. A positive times a positive will always be positive. A negative times a negative will always be negative. A positive times a negative will always be negative. I'm sorry, that should be positive there. And a negative times a positive will always be negative. I almost made a mistake because I'm trying to do two things at once here. So let's focus, not talking to me when I say that. So we have 2 times negative 7/9. We can think of 2 as 2 over 1 because we know that's part of our invisible math. We can put a denominator of 1 under any whole number. And then we will multiply it. I will be using the multiplication dot rather than the little x. And then times negative 7 over 9. So we simply multiply the numerators. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. 1 times 9 is 9. So far we have negative 14 divided by 9, but we can simplify that. If we divide negative 14 by 9, we will have a remainder of 5. So 1 and 5/9 is the mixed number version of 14/9. So our final answer, negative, don't forget the negative sign, negative 1 and 5/9. Let me erase that equal sign so it just doesn't get too confusing there. There we go. Okay, 1 and 1/7 times 1/10. Okay, we have a mixed number. So we have to take this mixed number and we have to turn it into an improper fraction. So to do that, we multiply the denominator times the whole number, and then we add the numerator. 7 times 1 plus 1 equals, well, 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 more equals 8, and we use the same denominator, 8/7. So these are equivalent. So let's rewrite our problem. We have 8 over 7 times 1 over 10. Now, here's something new. We can do something called cross simplify. We're going to look at the 7 and the 1 and see if there's any way we can simplify those numbers, and we can't because one of them is a 1. So now we're going to look at the 8 and the 10. And is there any common factor to 8 and 10? And there is. They are both divisible by 2. So here's what we will do to simplify those numbers before we multiply. If we divide 8 by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. We only compare the diagonals. Now we have smaller numbers to work with, and we multiply across. 4 times 1 is 4, 7 times 5 is 35. And this answer is as simplified as it can get. There's nothing else that we can do. So let's go on to number 3. We have two mixed numbers. Both of them are negative, so we need to be careful here. So negative 1 and 2/3 times negative 1 and 2/3. So let's create an improper fraction out of the negative 1 and 2/3. So we have 3 times 1 plus 2. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 more is 5. So our proper fraction will be negative 5/3. And since they're the same fraction, it's negative 5/3 times negative 5/3. We cannot simplify by looking at the cross products. So we'll just multiply across. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25, and 3 times 3 is 9. However, let's convert 25/9 back into a mixed number by dividing 25 by 9. So 9 times 3 is 27. That's too much. We'll do 9 times 2 is 18, and 25 minus 18 is 7. So that means our final answer is 2 7/9. And then on to number 4. We will convert these both to improper fractions. So 2 1/2 is 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5/2. Denominator stays the same, times 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3/2. And I don't see anywhere where we can simplify this with the cross product simplification. So I'll just multiply across. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 2 is 4. So let's convert that into a mixed number. We'll divide 15 by 4. And I do know that 4 times 3 is 12 with 3 left over. So 15/4 is equivalent to 3 3/4. And on to number 5. In number 5, we have negative 3 1/7 times 3/4. So let's multiply 7 times 3 to get 21 and add that numerator to get 22 sevenths, and that's negative, times 3/4. Now here is a situation where I can, if I choose to, look at just getting my highlighter here. I can, if I choose to, simplify by dividing a common factor into the 22 and the 4. And the common factor that I'm going to choose is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 22 divided by 2 is 11. So when we multiply across, 11 times 3, and it's a negative 11, is negative 33. 7 times 2 is 14. So we will divide negative 33 by 14. And I know that 14 times 2 is 28. If I subtract 28 from negative 33, I will have a 5. So 33 minus 28 is 5. I need to remember that my answer will be negative. So that's 2 5/14. So our final answer, negative 2 5/14, which cannot be simplified any further. In our next problem, we have negative 2 times negative 1 3/4. So we can represent that negative 2 as negative 2 over 1 times, and let's make an improper fraction from our 1 3/4. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. That's negative 7 over 4. And we can simplify and divide 2 by 2. Divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So we're going to have positive 7 in the numerator, 2 in the denominator. And when we simplify that, we divide 7 by 2, which will give us 3. 3 times 2 is 6, with 1 left over, 3 and 1/2. So our final answer is 3 and 1/2. So let's move on. Here's number 7 and 8. 2 and 1/4 times 2 and 2/3. So we need to make improper fractions out of these. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that would be 9/4 times 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8/3. Now I can do quite a bit of simplification here to make this problem easy. So let's go ahead and do that. I change the color. So 3 and 9 are both divisible by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 8 and 4 are both divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now when I multiply across, 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2, and 12 divided by 2 equals 6, which is our final answer. And now on to number 8, negative 1/2 times 1 and 4/5. So we'll start with the negative 1/2. Now we have to convert the 1 and 4/5 to an improper fraction. So we'll multiply 5 times 1 is 5, and then we'll add the numerator to make 5 plus 4 is 9, so 9/5. I do not have any way to simplify this because 9 and 2 do not share a common factor. So I'll simply multiply across. 9 times 1 is 9. This is negative. 2 times 5 is 10. And negative 9 over 10 is the final answer for that problem. So now let's look at number 9. We have negative 2 and 1/3 times 8/3. So we'll make improper fractions of the negative 2 and 1/3. That would give us negative 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So negative 7/3 times 8/3. And again, I don't see a way that we can simplify this. So let's just go ahead and multiply across. 7 times 8 is 56, and that's a negative. 3 times 3 is 9. So we'll divide 56 by 9. And we know that 9 times 6 is 54. We subtract, and we have 2/9 left over, which means our final answer is negative 6 and 2/9. Okay, in number 10, we have negative 2 and 4/9 times negative 1 and 9/10. So let's convert these to improper fractions. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 more, 19, 20, 21, 22/9, and that's a negative number, times negative 1 and 9/10, which would be 10 times 1 is 10, plus 9 more equals negative 19/10. So 19 is a prime number. I cannot divide it by anything, but I notice that 22 and 10 are both divisible by 2, which I will do that now. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 22 divided by 2 is 11. And don't forget, we have a negative sign. So we will now multiply straight across. Negative 11 times negative 19 will be a positive 133. 9 times 5 is 45. And oops, I made a mistake there. I wrote 133. That's not what I meant to write. I meant to write 209. Okay, this is positive, but excuse me, we need to divide to get a final answer in the form of a mixed number. So I'm going to take a guess that 4 times 45 will be less than 209. So 5 times 4 is 20, 4 times 4 is 16, 2 is 18, and it is. So 209 minus 180 is 29. So our final answer will be 4 and 29 45ths. Let's move on to number 11 and 12. Number 11, we have 5 6 multiplied by 2 and 2/5. So the 5 6 is ready to go. We can work with that, but we need to convert 2 and 2/5 to a improper fraction. So that would be 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more make 12 over 5. And we have lots of opportunities for simplifying on the diagonal. So we have a 6 and we have a 12, and both of those are divisible by 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, 12 divided by 6 is 2. And then we have 5 divided by 5 is 1 in both of those locations. So now we multiply across. 2 times 1 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1. And the simplified version of 2 over 1 is just simply 2. And now, number 12. We have negative 1 and 5/9 times negative 1 and 7/12. So we'll convert both those to improper fractions. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5 more is 14/9. So that's a negative 14/9. 12 times 1 is 1, plus 7 more is 19. So that's a negative 19/12. 19 is a prime number, so we cannot simplify that. The 14 and the 12, however, we can simplify that a bit. We will divide 14 by 2 to have 7 and 12 by 2 to get 6. Now let's multiply straight across. Negative 7 times negative 19 is a positive 133, and 9 times 6 is 54. And we will divide 54 into 133, which I'm guessing will be 2 times. 2 times 54 is 108. We subtract, and we have 33 minus 8, 25 54ths. So 2 and 25 54ths is our final answer there. And now we have some word problems or applications. We have Nikki, who just exercised for 180 minutes. 3/5 of those minutes were spent running. How many minutes did she spend running? So we have to find how many minutes 3/5 of 180 is. So we're multiplying 180 times 3/5, or we could say, what is 180 of 3/5? So the first thing I'm going to do is give the 180 a denominator of 1, and I can also simplify this quite a bit. So I've got 5 divided by 5 is 1. 180 divided by 5, let's see, is 35. No, 36. So we have 36 over 1 times 3 over 1, which is 36 times 3, which is 108. So how many minutes did she spend running? She ran for 108 minutes, and that is our final answer. Number 14, one batch of cookies requires 2 2/3 cups of sugar. How much sugar does Angela need if she wants to make 1½ batches? So we need to multiply 2 2/3 times 1 1/2, and let's convert these to improper fractions first. Change the color. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8. So we have 8/3 times 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3/2. And immediately I see that I can simplify this quite a bit. I've got 3 divided by 3 is 1, and I've got 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. As I multiply across, 4 times 1 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, which simply equals 4. Oh, and that's 4 cups, because the question was how much sugar? 4 cups of sugar. So now on number 15, we learned that when she got in her car to drive to work, Mia had 11 1/2 gallons of gas in her tank. She used 1/8 of the gas in her tank to get to work. How much, if she used 1/8 of that gas, how much gas does she have left? So we're multiplying because it says of. So we're multiplying 11 1/2 times 1/8. And we need to convert that 11 1/2 to a improper fraction. Right now it's a mixed number. 11 times 2 is 22, plus the 1 in the numerator is 23, and we keep the denominator, times 1/8. Now we cannot simplify this, so we're just going to multiply straight across. So 23 times 1 is 23, and 8 times 2 is 16. Now we can convert that back into a mixed number by dividing 6 by 23, excuse me, by 16. So one group of 16, we subtract, and that leaves us with 1 7/16 is what she used. Now, we are not done yet. It says, how much gas does she have left? So she used 1 7/16 gallons. Now we need to do some more math. We need to subtract the 1 7/16 from 11 1/2. So 11 1/2 minus 1 7/16. We'll convert those to improper fractions. Let me change my color. 11 times 2 is 22, and 1 is 23. 23/2 minus 16 times 1 is 16, plus 7 is 23 over 16. Now, we need to convert this fraction to 16ths. So let's work over here. 23 over 2 equals how many 16ths? So 2 times 8 is 16. We'll multiply the numerator by 8. 23 times 8 is 184. So now we have 184 sixteenths minus 23 sixteenths, which gives us 161 sixteenths. And the final thing we need to do is divide 161 by 16. So we have 161 divided by 16, and we'll take a guess. We know that 10 would be 160 with 1/16 left over. So our final answer to how much gas does she have left is 10 and 1/16 gallons. So that was a hard problem, and you did well by following along. Finally, in number 16, what is the area of a triangle that has a base of 8 inches and a height of 3 2/5 inches? Well, you need to know the formula for an area of a triangle, which is the area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. So the base is 8 inches. So the area of the triangle will be 1/2 times the height, 8, times, 1/2 times the base times the height, which is 3 2/5 inches. So let's start with 1/2 times 8. We'll just start here. So half of 8 we know is 4. So partially done. Now we're going to do 4 times 3 2/5. We're going to represent 4 as 4 over 1, and we're going to make 3 2/5 an improper fraction. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 more is 17/5. And we cannot simplify that at all. So 4 times 17 is 68, and 5 times 1 is 5. So let's turn that back into a mixed number by dividing 68 by 5. And 5 goes into 6 one time. With 1 left over, we bring down the 8. 5 goes into 18 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. With 3/5 left over, so our final answer is 13 3/5 inches squared. And that is our final problem for the day. Please make sure you organize your papers in your binder from the oldest, so that would be the papers from the first day of school are in the front, to the newest. So this paper that you did today should be the last thing in your binder today. And don't forget, tomorrow we have a quiz. There will be 10 problems. So keep working hard and do your best. And I know that with practice, you'll be great.